Please be seated. Order. Honorable members, I have been informed that the whippery has agreed that there will be no notice of motions or motions without notice, except the motions on the order paper. Further, that since today is the last time that the Deputy President will be taking questions in the Council, members have requested that they would like to bid him farewell after questions. We will now come to the question, to the motion on the order paper as printed in the name of the Chief Whip.
Thank you, Chair. I so move, Chair, that we agree on that, on those 3 items.
As there is no speakers list, I shall put the question, and the question is that the motion be agreed to, as the decision is dealt with in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. I shall now first ascertain whether all delegation heads are present in the chamber to cast their province's vote. Are you all present? Yes. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I'll first allow provinces the opportunity to make their declaration of votes if they so wish. Any province that wish to do so? None. We shall now proceed with voting on the question. Heads of delegate will, by pressing their buttons, vote in favor, against, or abstain buttons. Voting has commenced. Gauteng. Have members all voted? Okay, let's save time. Let's go manual. Eastern Cape?
In favor, Chair.
Eastern Cape, yes. Free State? Gauteng?
Voted.
KwaZulu Natal?
Sisekele, Chair.
Mpumalanga? I'm sorry, Limpopo?
Afumela.
Mpumalanga? Northern Cape?
Voted, Chair.
Northwest? You must also say how you have voted. Maybe you're abstaining, I'm not sure.
Voted in favor of.
Western Cape? Voted in favor, Chair. In favor. All 9 provinces have voted in favor. I therefore declare motion agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. We will now proceed with the questions as printed in the order paper. And I now wish to welcome the Deputy President. DP, welcome into the National Council of Provinces. Once more again, it's a great honor on behalf of the House to have you in. I now call upon the Deputy President to respond to the first question, which has been put to him by Honorable Mashile from Mpumalanga, ANC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. The hosting of the 2010 FIFA World Cup allowed all South Africans to be united in support of our national team and to enjoy football throughout that tournament. Furthermore, the increased sense of safety during the 2010 FIFA World Cup facilitated socializing and mixing across racial and social boundaries. The creation of fan parks was a significant contributory factor in enhancing social cohesion during the period of the FIFA World Cup that allowed South Africans of different class and racial backgrounds to interact with one another. That the stadiums were finished on time and that the 2010 FIFA World Cup was deemed among the most successful competitions in history helped dispel negative stereotypes about the African continent within the global community and enhanced our national pride. The hosting of the 2010 FIFA World Cup by South Africa was from the onset understood to be on behalf of the whole African continent, and the tournament was set to be an African World Cup, partly aimed at integrating aspects of continental development programs as well as legacy initiatives. The 2010 FIFA World Cup thus served to mobilize the nation, to instill a sense of patriotism, and to unite Africa. Various sporting and peace initiatives that were undertaken in the continent as part of the World Cup did much to contribute to the development and national unity. We can cite some examples to point to the role that the tournament played in enhancing development and people-to-people contact on the continent. The first is the Win in Africa with Africa program resulted in the construction of football turfs in different African countries and also provided support in developing various national leagues and the training of football administrators. Second, the Mini Schools Africa Cup, which involved the 5 African countries that had qualified for the 2010 FIFA World Cup, as well as the 6 African road shows also contributed to players and supporters getting to know one another. Thirdly, peace initiatives were also undertaken on the continent as part of the 2010 FIFA World Cup, including the 2009 Peace Caravan Tour of the Great Lakes region in East Africa, which was supported by our government, together with the organizing committee, the Rwandese Ministry of Sports and Culture, and the Youth Development through Football Project. And fourthly, through the ICT program, the 2010 FIFA World Cup also contributed towards bridging the digital divide and promoting a common identity among Africans. We are mentioning these legacy initiatives because the efforts of fostering unity and cooperation in the continent can never be divorced from the fundamental issue of sustainable development. Going forward, Chapter 15 of our National Development Plan has again reminded us to sustain our efforts and focus on nation building and social cohesion in pursuit of a more cohesive and equitable society. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Deputy President. Mr. Mashile, any follow-up question? No follow-up question. Any other follow-up question from any member? Honorable Van Lingen.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Deputy President, to this World Soccer Cup, you talk about your answer and you say social cohesion happened in South Africa amongst the races in the continent, and it was a marvellous experience. We also know that the country pulled together with very large infrastructure projects leading up to the 2010 event. Do you think that we can, in such a short time, again repeat such a project, like, for instance, the Olympics, in the near future, or do we have sufficient facilities? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President, I'm not sure whether you want to take that, but it's up to the Deputy President to do it.
Well, the Olympics are normally hosted by cities, and so it will have to be a bid mounted by a city which feels that it has all the requisite facilities, because there would need to be a place for accommodating athletes and the support teams, as well as the sporting facilities and arenas for the competition to be hosted by SCTA. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. Any follow-up? None. We proceed to Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Chair. Enkosi Sekela Mongameli. Umbuzo wami Sekela Mongameli uthi njengoko usitsho nawe ukuba ubunye izamile ukubusondeza le World Cup. Umbuzo wami ungaba xa nilandelela ikhona na engcingeni kaHulumende into yokuba siqinise ngakumbi le region yethu yalapha emazantsi i-region yethu yeSADC ngakumbi kwezi zemidlalo sikhe sibe yi-region phambi koba sijoyine i-Africa iphela.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, there is, for instance, in football, the COSAFA Cup is primarily for the SADC member nations, and so that's already taking place in that sporting code of football. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. No any other follow-up. We move to the next question. Question 2 by Honorable Ndonambi to the Deputy President. Honorable DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members. The anti-poverty program that I champion adopted a multi-layered approach by targeting where the most impact is likely to happen. The program identifies beneficiaries who ought to access services but are not doing so. In order to achieve this, the methodology used is through the profiling of households in identified wards. To this end, the program facilitates the identification of priority wards where beneficiaries are most in need of services. These services vary in nature depending on the identified needs, such as skills development, education and training, career pathing, birth certificates and IDs, and so on. At the household level, the program aims to consolidate the provision of services to achieve maximum impact. This may include providing relevant information as well as facilitating access to services. One of the approaches of the program is the identification of change agents whose potential can be realized for the benefit of the entire household. To illustrate the point we are making about the program, for example, in all 9 provinces, through Department of Human Settlement, a program on youth build has been established. For example, in Port Elizabeth, in the Eastern Cape, 12 youth construction groups were trained and subsequently employed to build RDP houses in Cheti, in the Port Elizabeth area. In Limpopo, in the Vembe district, a group of women were recruited for training in bricklaying. Subsequently, the group has since built houses for the community. During my first visit in 2008 to Lubala village in the Eastern Cape, the community faced challenges in safe drinking water, accessing primary health care services, housing, roads, high rate of orphans and child-headed families, documents to access government services, and unemployment. Today, in 2014, I'm happy to report a successful story. All children at Lubala School are now receiving meals as part of the integrated school nutrition program. Further, Grade R infrastructure has been completed and is now in use. Water, electricity, and sanitation have also been provided in the community. With all these basic necessities in place, the community is now able to concentrate on self-help projects to support their needs. To this end, the community of Lubala has expressed its intention to start a cooperative that will address some of the basic food necessities such as bread. In Umsinga, the site of our visit in 2011 tells a similar successful story. Following the visit, a decision was taken to expand FET College footprint in the area. Water supply was prioritized, destitute households were identified, and immediate interventions implemented. Following my visit in 2011 to the Greater Taung municipality during the War on Poverty program, a joint collaborative effort has been launched between the Northwest Province Department of Agriculture and Rural Development and the Haldor Topsy, a private firm in Denmark, to position Taung Agricultural College into a center of excellence in irrigation technology, thereby ensuring that communities in Taung benefit and are able to produce food to improve the socio-economic status. The anti-poverty visit to Lushaya in 2012 and earlier in 2013 has raised private sector interests in the schools and clinic in the area. As we speak, there is commitment to improve infrastructure. Honorable members, what we have learned through all these engagements is that improved intergovernmental coordination substantially accelerates delivery of services to those most in need and thus enhances the quality of life of poor households. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Ntonambi.
Kokhona enkosi sihlalo. Maniqale ngobulela sekala mongameli. Kule mpendulo. Indeed sikhe saya eMsinga si-NCOP sayibona le nhlupheko siyavuyisana nabantu baseMsinga nezinye indawo. Kodwa umbuzo wami ubuzawuthi mhlali ngaphambili uyayiqaphela na urhulumente into ba ewe kuyalanjwa emakhaya. Kodwa uyayiqaphela na urhulumente ba indlala enkulu ngoku ibuye yaza ezidolophini. Okwesibini bendizawuthanda ke sekela mongameli noba usengosekela mongameli usezawuhlala ukhona uba nalalaliya kulo tata wampha eRhodana eLady Frere nayo ngenye imini ikhibe nawo umbane njengenye yendlela zokuxotha indlala.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. When ndiyavuma ukuba eyona into eyenza ukuba abantu bachipele edolobheni indlala. Xa sinokuthi kube nengqubela phambili ezilalini abantu bakuthi abanakuya edolobheni baza kuya xa bendwendwela abantu ababaziyo. Nanso ingxaki ekhoyo. Enyanisweni ukuze kusithi hayi nokho umsebenzi wethu siwufezile kufuneka siphelise le nhlukano ekhoyo phakathi kwedolopho nelali in terms of infrastructure. We should make sure that we close the gap between urban and rural and provide properly paved roads with rainstorm drainage systems, sewer systems, potable water and electricity to all of our people, including in rural communities. Thank you. And that includes the Honorable Ntwanambi's village. It must also be included in this project. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. Any other follow-up question? Honorable Mnguni? Nzimande, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. To ask to ask the Deputy President, after the good story that he's told to us, people out there would now, want to know how to access, how the program is rolled out and how to access to they apply to the president, or it's done through, departments and or municipalities. If the modalities of accessing, I'm sure they're asking those questions now. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nzimande. This program is actually located within the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. I'm just the champion of it. And therefore, to access it, people have to indeed go through our office, the Deputy President's office. What we do, we have a war room, and we have people who go out and do a profiling of local communities, and we try to target the most economically depressed and poverty-stricken areas. We prioritize the bottom end in terms of deprivation and poverty. But the lead ministry or department is rural development and land reform. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. Any follow-up question, Mr. Sinclair?
Thank you, Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, in the context of the Honourable Deputy President's answer, one of the areas in the Northern Cape that he visited and also declared a presidential note was the Renosterburg municipality, which is Petrusville, Philipstown and Van der Kloof. Now, in terms of the multi-layered approach that the President referred to, many of the challenges that he raised, that the Honourable President raised, is also symptomatic in that specific community. Can the Honourable President maybe allude to the progress made in that area in the context of this answer? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Deputy President, I'm not sure whether he might have a specific progress on that specific area, but it's very difficult where I'm sitting that you have not made an assessment of different areas. But DP, if you are able, that's a supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sinclair. Indeed, I would have to go back to gather the latest information in terms of interventions to be able to respond to that question. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any other question? If there's any supplementary question? No. We proceed to the third question. Honorable Joseph from the DA asking the Deputy President. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Our national antiretroviral program is accessible to all those who are eligible for treatment, irrespective of their country of origin. Each of the countries in the region, that is SADC, conducts their own treatment programs, and thus there are no partnerships. However, countries share information and best practice through established institutions such as the World Health Organization, the African chapter, the African Union, as well as the United Nations. And ministers of health, as well as the finance ministers, ministers of labor, and ministers of mineral resources felt that they needed to convene a conference, which is due by end of this month, to develop protocols of treating tuberculosis, because mine workers come from Swaziland, they come from Lesotho, they come from Botswana, and as they cross borders, it was felt that there is need to develop protocols of how the treatment should be availed to all of them as and when they cross these borders. So one believes that since TB and HIV are diseases that affect the same people because there is co-infection, that out of that conference and the development of the protocols will emerge even better and more effective cooperation in terms of the battle against HIV and TB. I thought I should just add that part. But the question itself, as posed by Honorable Joseph, was to whether our program is available to people of other the non-South Africans who find themselves in South Africa. And so it's if they are eligible in terms of their status, yes, indeed, they access the antiretroviral treatment. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy President. Any follow-up question, Ms. Joseph? UK. Any other follow-up question on this? None. We proceed to question number 4 by Honorable Van Lingen, DA, to the Deputy President. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The South African National AIDS Council, SANAC, has not discussed issues related to intellectual property, as the Department of Trade and Industry is seized with such matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. Ms. Van Lingen, any follow-up question? No. Any other follow-up question from other members? No. We move to question number 5, asked by Honorable Gigi Mokgoro to the Deputy President. Honorable Deputy President, Mr. Mokgoro, the Deputy President is answering your question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mokgoro and honorable members. Government remains engaged with key stakeholders on matters that affect perceptions of South Africa as a favorable investment destination, especially in mining and minerals development. We consider our engagements with the investment communities in the United Kingdom and Canada as having yielded the desired results, as they now have a deeper appreciation for the South African challenges in this sector, but also an awareness of the opportunities that lie ahead. The concerns raised about the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Bill include the following: perceived prohibition of exports of minerals in contradiction of international trade agreements, mineral beneficiation, perceived unfettered discretionary powers of the minister, time frames in processing applications and the notion of first come, first served, nationalization of the mines. Government has indeed clarified the critical concerns raised by the investment community through a more rigorous explanation of the intention of the bill and providing the developmental underpinnings that accentuated the drafting of the bill. Concerns have been taken into consideration and progress has been made to address some of the issues raised. For example, through the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission, there is an endeavor to align the issuing of water and mining licenses. The PICC is focused on ensuring that the application of these licenses is simultaneously rather than sequentially dealt with, as the current processing of license applications prolongs the course of getting to the production phase. Another example of a concern raised and taken into account by the Department of Mineral Resources is the removal of time frames and the first come, first served in order to create room for streamlining the process relating to authorization for mining rights, water use license, and environmental approvals that will significantly enhance the ease of doing business in South Africa and optimize the development impact of exploitation of natural resources. Accordingly, the streamlined process commits to a maximum of 300 days from application to issuing of all relevant authorizations. As honorable members are aware, Parliament's public participation processes allowed all stakeholders the opportunity to make oral and written submission on the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Amendment Bill. The bill is being considered by the National Assembly this afternoon. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Mukaro.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Honorable Deputy President, now that we have quite a number of commodities that are mined in the Northern Cape, and also the expected development of the oil along the Western Coast, I would like to know if there is any thinking or any consideration that the Port Nolloth area, the harbor there, can it be developed maybe to also be used to export these commodities? Is there any thinking within government circles? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. I do know that the Northern Cape is so richly endowed with mineral resources, and that part of the direct consequence of those resources is the development of the Kucha in Ngqura, Eastern Cape, and also that there's been talk, because you see, we don't have a marine industry, we don't have shipbuilding industry, we don't have a single vessel registered in South Africa to move goods and cargo along South African waters, and we have a long coastline, as it were, from the east to the west. And so there's been discussions on how to create a base in Saldanha Bay, for instance, of shipbuilding, ship repairs, docks, and so on, which would have the impact of creating jobs and so on. So the point I'm making is that, yes, these discussions are taking place. If the gas and oil finds offshore are close to Port Nolloth, I'm sure that such discussion would include possible and potential developments in that part of our country. Thanks.
Thank you, DP. Any follow-up question? None. We proceed to question 6 by Honorable Kamet, the ANC, to the Deputy President. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Yes, Honorable Gamete, agreement was reached on the following areas of cooperation. Education and skills development. Poland offered South Africa 155 scholarships for the 2014-2015 academic year. An agreement on cooperation in education is to be explored with the Polish government. South Africa has specific areas for cooperation, one of which was maritime and vocational training. Agriculture and rural development, exchange on technology and encouraging the exchange of researchers between research facilities, that is the science councils, agriculture research council, etc., and universities to explore the fields of agriculture and agro-processing. Both countries agreed to share best practices, policies, and programs for rural development. Also, a bilateral cooperation on aquaculture will be facilitated. And then the third area is science and technology. Review areas of cooperation in science and technology in view of recent reforms to include infrastructure and expand and deepen cooperation in science and technology. And the fourth part deals with business forum. Assess potential in line with the newly signed agreement on economic cooperation and priority sectors, that is mining and mineral exploration, carbon enrichment and mining machinery, oil and gas, energy, construction, transportation and infrastructure, industry, agriculture and food processing, and information and communications technologies. We also appreciated the presence of South African companies in Poland and encouraged Polish companies to invest in South Africa to boost job creation. On environmental affairs, Poland committed to share information on river health, water quality, and waste management and sanitation. On transport, skills development in maritime sciences to be explored with Polish assistance, shipbuilding and repairs, marine architecture, marine engineering, and experiential learning for South African cadets on Polish shipping lines, that is seafarers, to be followed up. A memorandum of understanding for cooperation in the transport sector needs to be developed. The following agreements and memoranda of understanding were signed during the Polish Prime Minister's visit. 1, agreement on economic cooperation between South Africa and Poland. 2, agreement between the Industrial Corporation and its Polish equivalent IDA. 3, agreement between the Warsaw School of Economics and the University of Witwatersrand Business School. And 4, a memorandum of understanding on mutual cooperation between the Polish Information and Foreign Investment Agency and Trade and Investment South Africa. Following our discussions on the 17th of October 2013, we accepted Prime Minister Tusk's invitation to pay an official visit to Warsaw, Poland on the 14th of March to build on these discussions and to follow up on the outcomes of our bilateral consultations. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Gamete.
Thanks, Chairperson. Thank you, Mkulu, for the response that you have given us. Secondly, thank you for giving us that good story of what we have done as Deputy President and this government. The question would be, since my colleagues are going to be bidding you farewell, have you left a report so that whoever takes over should continue with your good work after the coming elections.
Deputy President.
Yes, indeed, there's a handover report, and of course the team in the office remains in place, and regardless of who becomes the deputy president, they are there to serve whoever is in office here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other follow-up question? Honorable Tau, then follow Honorable de Villiers, and then the last one, Honorable Worth.
Can I be recognized?
Yeah, you've got your mic on.
Oh,
Speak.
now it's on. Okay, no, thank you very much, Chairperson, and of course, may I not be declared out of order in thanking the Deputy President for having been what he is.
Ask a supplementary question.
Yes, Chair, I'm going to ask the supplementary question. And as part of asking the supplementary question, Chair, I thought I must make the point that the Deputy Chair President has been quite a master in coordination and ensuring that there is cohesion and coherence in all programs that government has envisaged to implement. And of course, thank you very much we shall remember him for one thing that he has taught us.
What's your supplementary question, Mr. President? Please ask your supplementary question.
As part of having taught us how to ensure that our work does not result in a stampede, particularly with regard to oversight. Now I want to know, Chair, as a supplementary question, how then, on the basis of the response of the Deputy President, are there opportunities created, particularly for young women, to then also play a strategic role or an important role in all these agreements, in all these bilaterals, as part of building their skills and opening up for them to be active economic citizens of the country? Thanks.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tau. Indeed, many young South African women are already involved in the aspect of the marine industry which deals with the security of the country. In SAMPSA, the cadets are actually young ladies who are already training on a number of seafarers as part of preparing them to deal with the security aspect. But of course, as I said, Poland offered 155 scholarships and to be included when we take up these scholarships would be young South African women here. Thank you.
Thank you, TP. Honorable de Villiers.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. My question to the Deputy President is, in connection with the agreement between South Africa and the country, how many scholarships and students are actually gather the training in the country, not here, but abroad, in connection with this agreement? Thank you.
You always know that in terms of the rules, questions with numbers needs to be put ahead so that the responder knows exactly the number of those people. But I wouldn't spoil the good day today, you know. I'm trying to be very nice to every one of you. Honorable Deputy President, I don't know whether you know the number of the students.
No, I don't know the number by heart, but as I said, there are scholarships. I am aware that the preparations for sending these students abroad are managed by higher education and training. They are the ones who do the selection and to take up these available scholarships here. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Worth, you are the last one on this.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. To the Honourable Deputy President. Deputy President, we were talking about Poland. Poland is now part of the EU, and just recently South Africa cancelled our bilateral investment treaties with countries like Spain, Belgium, and Germany. How does this going to affect our political and social relationship with the EU and with, for argument's sake, these countries and other countries in the European Union? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
No, thank you. All of the treaties were deemed to be archaic, and so the EU itself has cancelled a number of them because they are replaced by bilateral agreements which take into account the current situation. So there is no lacuna in terms of the frameworks, legal instruments for continuing with the good relations and trade here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That concludes the follow-up questions on that question, and that concludes the questions to the Deputy President. Honorable members, I would now afford members the opportunity to bid farewell, tributes to the Deputy President as requested by the members. According to my speakers list, I will call upon the Honorable T.L. Makunyane from the ANC.
Nkulu, I must say I'm very, very happy to be given this opportunity. And I was even happier when I saw my name first. So, Nkulu, I've known you since 1980, when I arrived on Robben Island. I remember being quite impressed, firstly by your walk. You used to walk very, very straight. And also speaking low and very, very deliberate. And you really taught me quite a lot. You introduced me to Mkhabulo, to the thoughts of Karl Marx, through books. Although we did not have Marxist originals there, we used to read quite a lot. Maurice Comfort, Maurice Dopp, Paul Sweezy, Paul Baran, and many, many, many others. You also introduced me to the notion that our struggle is actually part of a global struggle of all progressive forces to create a better world, and that it goes on all the time and on all fronts, including music, in the media, everything, everywhere. So I would like just to quote from one poet to say to you that the lives of great men all remind us that we can make our lives sublime and departing leave behind us footprints in the sense of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing over life's solemn name, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, sea shall take heart again. We know that you've left your footsteps in a lot of places, and this time it includes also Parliament. We will all miss your wisdom. Thank you.
Honorable Stefan Lingen, DA.
Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Deputy President, Honourable Members. Die Nasionale Raad van Provinsies is vandag hier byeen om te groet en erkenning te gee aan 'n baie besondere en uitstaande seun van Suid-Afrika. Agbare adjunkt-president, toe ek u ouderdom Google, toe sien ek ons is karperde. Ek het verder gesien u verjaardag is 'n dag na Madiba se die 19de Julie. U is definitief onder 'n groot sterteken gebore. Maar dit miskien onderstreep die eienskappe wat ek in u raak sien en wat ons van u kan leer. U is 'n man wat weet wanneer om te kom en wanneer om te gaan. Soos ons in Engels sou sê, you don't overstay your welcome. Chairperson, the Ibrahim Prize for Achievement of African Leadership is one of the biggest awards given in Africa to African leaders qualifying for certain criteria. And it recognizes and celebrates African leaders who develop their countries, lift their people out of poverty, and pave the way for sustainable and equitable prosperity. And it goes on, the leaders must be democratically elected and they must demonstrate extraordinary and exceptional leadership. This prize is very substantial. It's $5 million over 10 years and $200,000 for life thereafter. Now, this prize for leadership has been awarded last time for leaders that have stepped down within their period of service, only to Joachim Chissano from Mozambique in 2007 and Festus Mogai of Botswana in 2008. Two of the qualifying criteria, as I've said, are to be democratically elected and to have demonstrated exceptional leadership. For the last 3 years, this substantial award could not have been made because there is no African leader who is qualified because they are all overstaying their welcome. You are the leader who has been showing those qualities as in the prize criteria over a long period of time. What an honor and a privilege it would have been if you were the person to have won that prize for South Africa. But what is as well as the ordinary people in South Africa's experience of Kgalema Motlanthe? We see you as a very humble person. In fact, Honourable Deputy President, you are the person who will be welcome in the homes of every ordinary South African. Just looking at you, you paint a dignified and statesman-like picture. We must remember the words of Michelle Obama, who said, "It is not the position that makes the man. It is the position that exposes the man." Even when you were president, it exposed a man who could walk with ordinary men and dine with kings. Over-ambitious people tend to become too hungry for power for the wrong reasons, of which greed is an example at the cost of the poor. This is why the Mo Ibrahim Leadership Prize could not have been awarded for the last 3 years in Africa. Honourable Deputy President, you served all South Africans with humility and dignity. We thank you for your selfless service, and we wish you well for a bright future. We thank you.
Honorable Makubela.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Deputy President, and honorable members of the House, I greet you this afternoon. Chairperson, sometimes a moment of greatness is buried in the history of bare-knuckle truth and the determination. Knowledge management transfers such as realism, when a person's character personifies his political expedience with a set of benchmark for other leaders in the management excellence, enhancing good governance. Honorable Deputy President, you are such an example, a man of honor, a man of respect, a child of the ANC, and a leader of the people. It is an honor for me to stand before you to bid a farewell today, but with a heart rending to miss you as an example man of this country. This has been experienced during the program of HIV, where you derived it in such a way that you save the life of small children in this country in order to build up the leadership. Your calm demeanor, that attitude reflected in your ethnic way of being politician, assured statesmanship, truly and reflecting your dignity as a strategist, negotiator. Pre-1994 and up until today, you have set an example. You have learned a great deal for your stature. You confirmed it yesterday again when you said, I'll quote the president now, "The ANC is my extended family. Through the experience along the road, we are all rich." Chairperson, greatness is proven when a leader can boldly stand before and said, like President Mandela, who acknowledged that our nation needs a talented man to teach and groom our community for the next future. Deputy President, sir, I wish Godspeed. You travel well as a politician, as a leader, as a politician, and you're still going to work beyond of what we're doing in order to build the young generation in our country. Chairperson, corporate recognize, Honorable President, your virtue, his role in the changing political landscape. You stood firm and dignity forever. We salute you. Thank you.
Honorable J.J. Gunda.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Deputy President. Indeed, it is a privilege to greet you today.
Honorable
Whenever
member,
you walk,
please don't disturb a member.
Whenever you walk, whatever you do, you show leadership qualities. I will never forget the day in 1998 when I phoned you when you were still a secretary of the ANC. When I phoned you concerning an issue in Uppington in Pabalelo, you sent down a group to come and meet ordinary people. You sent a report to ordinary people. Since that day, I knew the ANC having a secretary that will build this movement. So, Honorable Deputy President, I don't know you as a Deputy President from yesterday. I know you for years, being in the movement, knowing who you are, what you stand for, man of principles. And one of the principles of a man, of a leader, is it must be somebody who are a good listener. And you are a good listener.
Order. We don't have point of orders in a speech like this. Honorable Nyambi.
It's not a point of order.
Yeah. On what are you standing?
Yeah.
On what are you standing?
It's about a question that the honorable member promised to answer when standing. So that is why I'm standing.
We don't take questions.
No, it's up to him to say it's ready to take it.
Take your seat, Honorable Nyambi.
Are you taking it?
Continue, Honorable Member.
Honorable
Continue.
Chair, Honorable Gunda
Honorable
told
Nyambi,
me
sit
that...
down. Take your
No.
seat. Continue, Honorable Member.
Yes, indeed, Honorable Deputy President, you showed character when it was needed most. When everything and all the odds was against us, you still show character. It's a sign of the leadership qualities that's inside of you. And today we must be honest, people. I'm a person that believes you must give credit when credit are due. You'll never grow and you will never learn if you are dishonest. Whether that person is from another movement or from what, you have to give credit. And I want to say this today. You know, I never thought I'll have an opportunity today to speak. But when I read last night through a very important book, which I'm not allowed to mention the name in this house, I found out why you are such an outstanding person. It's because of the leadership and organization that you are coming from. And you grew up in an organization that respects other people. That's why you respect other people. And for that, we will salute you. For that, I think the people of Uppington will always respect you, especially the people in Pabalelo, for what you have done, because by only writing the letter and sending the task scheme to assist them, to help them, ordinary people, which other people would never even listen to, you listen to them. And thank you for who you are. Thank you that you will always be a part of the success in this country. Thank you that you are a leader that always be a part of the solution and you are not part of the problem. And for that, I will always salute you. I thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Honorable Prince Zulu.
Sihlalo ohloniphekile walendlu iphini likamongameli wezwe elikhona ithi namhlanje egameni leqembu lenkatha yenkululeko sikufisela uhambo luhle ekuhambeni kwakho ngoba ungasizuba ingxenye kahulumeni kodwa engikubonga kuwena njengendoda nje yaseNingizimu Afrika ngikubonga ukuthi ubuhlonipha kakhulu umsebenzi wakho okhethelwe ngabantu ukuba uzokwazi ukwenza lapha engikuthokozela khona ukuthi noma yiliphi iqembu lezombusazwe belikuphosa imibuzo lokho kuthiwa question ngolasemzini ubukuphendula ngalowo nhlonipho naleso sidima esidingeka kumuntu osuka ekhuluma egameni labantu nanjengomuntu obe umuntu wesibili ezweni lakithi ngokubabala njengephini lenhloko yezwe ngithi ke ekhambeni kwakho uhamba uqonda kahle ukuthi kukhona okuthile okwenzekile empilweni zabantu futhi uhamba kahle futhi uyazi ukuthi abantu bakithi abambisholo basenenselelo ezingakanani emphakathini ngithi ke nalapha mawusiyo mhlawumbe iqembu lakho lokunikeza ilungelo lokuthi weluleke uadvise nalapha ukubona khona kunenselelo akuzona izinto ofuna uyigodle emndenini wakho komonhlante kodwa kufuneka ukuthi iNingizimu Afrika ube nomnikelo owenzayo ngikuthande ukuthi ngesikhathi ubambe ungumengameli kulezo nyangane ezimbalwa kulelizwe ekusebenzeni kwakho akubanga bikho kuchashaza ngisho ngakumcwaningi mabhuku ngikuthanda nalapha nalowo muntu oyisihlobo sakhe esithile kungangene kakhulu emsebenzini kwahulumeni wakhuluma uphumela obala ukuthi umvikelo womphakathi usengaphenya ukuthi unaso inisandla ukuthi lo muntu ethole lo msebenzi bambalwa abantu eNingizimu Afrika abangenza lokho sonke ngoba sikhona sinamachashaza ethu kodwa ungaphinde achashaza kwakho ekusebenzeleni isizwe sikababa omkhulu nezwe lonke laseNingizimu Afrika sikubongela kakhulu ukuthi sengathi inyanya zakini zingakwazi ukuthi izihambisane nawo noNkulunkulu akuphe elinye ibonus leminyaka ukuthi ukwazi ukuphila ezweni lakithi ngiyabonga
Honorable Ntonambi will speak from her seat. I've allowed her to do that. Honorable Ntanambe.
Thank you, Chair Ndiyabulela. Namhlanje andithetheli indlu, ndithethela African National Congress. Noba ndingu-chief whip wendlu. Ngoko ke lithuba elibalulekileyo eli kuthi malungu African National Congress sekela mongameli ukuba okugqibela namhlanje ube ulapha phakathi kwethu. Uba bendiyimbongi ngendikubonga kakhulu kodwa ke ngelishwa ndiliyilo. So ndifuna nje ukuthi siswela imilomo yabibili-waka ngesikubonga kakhulu ngesidima nesithozela othe waziphatha ngaso nendlela oziphethe ngayo xa uphakathi kwethu. Into ebonisa ubunkokheli uba yinto enjani na nefundise eminye imibutho ngaphezulu. Kwakhona njengoba silapha sibuka nje lixesha lokujonga sijonge negalelo olenzileyo njengenxenye yabantu abaninzi ekuziseni ubomi obungcono nempilo eyiyo abantu abamnyama balapha eMzantsi Afrika kodwa ncakasana kuthi bantu bangama-Afrika. Eyona nto ibalulekileyo ndiyathanda mhlali ngaphambili okokuba sibabulele abazali bakho babekhona umama uMasifako noMthwako Mhlante abeze nawe bakupha negama elimnandi kwathi uzawukhalima uzikhalimela izinto ezininzi apha kulo mbutho wethu. Siyazazi ke thina zezinye zezinto esizibalisayo njengebali lethu njengombutho oneminyaka engaka njengoko singenantanga ngokweminyaka nange-experience. Kwakhona mhlali ngaphambili khumbula kakuhle sekela mongameli ukuba ungumuntu oye wabotshwa ubanjelwa intatho nxaxheba yakho kumkhonto wesizwe. Umsebenzi owenze ngesidima nalapha akwabakho umuntu uyongena etrongweni okanye wafa ngenxa yakho. Nanjengoko uyazi uba awusayini iphepheni kodwa xa uyozimanya nomkhonto wesizwe eyona nto yokuqala oyithandazelayo noyifunayo kungaze kubanjwe mntu okanye kufe mntu ngenxa yakho. Uzenzile ezo zinto ngempumelelo. Ndiyafuna ke le ndlu mhlali ngaphambili ihleke kancinci enye yezinto apha kusekela mongameli endakhe ndazimamela ndazithanda and I hope akho mntu yoze-unquote because ndiza kuyiphika loo nto leyo. Ngela xesha asebenza phaa emgodini phaa obhos mos xa udiniwe kusebenza qho uyabaleka uye ngasese uthi ke phaa emgodini kuthiwe heyi wena sinyanjalo mani. So zezinye zezinto qho umuntu ophume engena endimpha elo gama nam ba ungibululo yabona kanti uziphinda mos. Kwakhona mhlali ngaphambili ndiyavuya kwaba bangandivanga. Kwakhona mhlali ngaphambili njengoko usenza umsebenzi onzima ukusebenza emgodini ukufundisa abantu abangafundanga ayonto ilula kodwa nalapho ngumsebenzi owenze ngesidima nesithozela. Wabaqeqesha wayohlala nabo ezihostel nasematyotyombyeni wabafundisa ngakumbi ngemo yabo yokuba ngabo abeza nalo mnotho ngabo abenza kube kutyetyiwe kodwa ekugqibeleni bashiyeka bona besezimpula zikalujaca. Into ebalulekileyo leyo oyenzileyo. Usavile umbutho wethu kwizigaba ngezigaba wangunobhala we-PWV region wangusihlalo sakuthatha ngo-1997 emafikeng sakwenza unobhala sakuthatha ngo-2007 sakubeka phaa ePulukwane sakwenza usekela mongameli sathi uzusiphathe ngoxolo. Indeed usiphethe ngoxolo kude kwalapha bambalwa ke sekela mongameli abantu abathi xa bephumayo ezihlalweni banikwe isithozela esinjengesi. Ayingomuntu wonke andiqondi uba mna njengomnye uDeputy President njengawe ndizayifumana le mani. Iya kwabathile nabakhethiweyo. Masikubulele ke sekela mongameli. Ubuthe ungumongameli awazigwagwisa awathi xa unyulwa ube ngusekela mongameli usuka kuba ngumongameli uthi hayibo lo mbutho wami undenzani. Into ecacisa uba ubungazanga sikhundleni apha kwa-ANC ubuzowusebenzela abantu. Ndiyathanda ke ukuyigxininisa into yokuba ubafundisile ingakumbi lo muntu ebengumthethi number 2 apha uba lento ingabantu iphathwa njani na uba abantu baphatha kakubi bazawuthi xa bebalisa ibali ngawe kuthiwe asinalo ikhaya kodwa ndiyavuya apha kwa ANC ubenze wonke abantu bafilisha at home hamba kahle ke sekela mongameli siyayazi thina amalungu eAfrican National Congress bawahambi uzawusebenza nangaphezulu yaye lo msebenzi sikunike wona ungaphezulu kwalo besikunikile usebenze kakuhle ke ungabalibali osinyanjalo abaya thank you chair.
Okay. I now call upon the Honorable Deputy President to respond to the tributes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Deputy Chairperson, honorable members of the NCOP, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by thanking the National Council of Provinces most sincerely for this farewell to me today. I'm humbled by this act of honor on my account by the National Council of Provinces, an organ of the democratic parliament that represents the will of our people. Having interacted with you for all the years that I've been both the President and Deputy President of the country, it means much, too much to me to have this farewell organized by the NCOP on the occasion of my leaving government. I'm also thankful for all the kind tributes paid to me by honorable members of this House this afternoon. Thank you very much. I feel all the more honored to have this tribute in this House that has seen such great historical evolution, starting as the Senate in 1994, chaired by Honorable Kobi Kutie, who was deputized by Honorable Gavin Mbeki. This House evolved into the National Council of Provinces in 1999. It has since continued to be an important part of Parliament. It uplifts the human spirit to learn that what one has been doing all along has been appreciated, especially by the people one has been working with. We are in government to serve our people. We are here not only to make a difference, but most importantly, to make the difference. Chairperson, in turn, I wish to pay tribute to the role of the NCOP, one of the two houses of our parliament, to the extent that this house has ably represented the principle of cooperative government and intergovernmental relations. My experience of the role of this house in our system of constitutional democracy is that it is indispensable in representing the interests of provinces, and so by extension ensuring that the aspirations of the people of South Africa are met. Somewhat an impression has been created in certain quarters that the NCOP plays second fiddle to the National Assembly, or that it is subordinated to it. The NCOP is not a junior partner or a poor cousin of the National Assembly. It is a constitutional structure charged with the imperative role for our country. In other words, the NCOP is the other house. As such, I think that the current misunderstanding about the NCOP is rather unfortunate. I would really wish for us as government to dispel this illusion and take the trouble to clarify to our people the role of various institutions of the state, especially those that underpin our system of democracy. It is in the interest of our people to be in the know about the configuration of their government and indeed the architecture of the state. It is even more significant given that at the end of the day, we are all faced with the epochal task of undoing the continuing legacy of our odious past. One of the preconditions of achieving this task is both theoretical and practical knowledge about the apparatus at our disposal to execute our duties with optimal efficiency. We have no option but to undo this legacy, which is currently manifested in the triple challenges of unemployment, inequality, and poverty, ills whose continuation threatens to undermine current effort at reconstruction and development of our country. We cannot afford such backsliding. Our current efforts are all aimed at building unity, democracy, non-racialism, and non-sexism, which in sum constitute the strategic goal of our nation, or to put it another way, our shared vision. This vision is the foundation upon which our future will stand. It cannot be any other way, yet this vision cannot be reached until and unless all the institutions of the state play their part with the realization that we are an organic whole underpinned by the notion of cross-fertilization, so that the strength of one institution becomes the strength of all. We are not helpless objects of history. We may have in the past been at the mercy of historical circumstances, but we are so no longer. Our destiny is in our hands. In a way, the memorable Chinese saying is evocative of our current historical moment. It simply says, and I quote, "If you want to know your past, look into your present conditions. If you want to know your future, look into your present actions," close quote. Our past has shaped our present to the extent that we have a massive task in our hands to reverse its insidious effects. Correspondingly, we all know, Chairperson, that our future depends on what we do today. Our present actions will shape the contours of our future. This calls to mind Professor Mukubu Nkomo's memorable line that, and I quote, "The future is embedded in the present as the present bears imprints of the past," close quote. As I leave office, I do so fully aware of the massive task that still lies ahead and the difficult conditions under which the task has to be executed. I'm confident that our nation has men and women of vision, ever ready to do their bit to ensure that our nation advances towards the desired level of development. Honorable members, at the center of the democratic experience lies the need for citizens to have direct say in the way that they are governed. In this regard, the NCOP plays a critical role in linking the government and ordinary South Africans through taking parliament to the people. The week-long visit by the NCOP to designated communities ensures that government has its fingers to the pulse by directly interacting with South Africans. The NCOP widens the frontier of democratic participation by making sure that this organ of our system of public representation galvanizes our people into democratic exercise. On this account, the NCOP's work lends credence to the long-cherished call that the people shall govern. To that extent, the NCOP is the lifeblood of our system of democracy. It guarantees participatory democracy. As the term of current government ends, we should look back to see how far we have come, especially in the context of 20 years of democracy. We should do so not only to indulge in the glory of our achievements, but more importantly, with an eye to the future. Our struggle for the betterment of the lives of our people, indeed all South Africans, is a continuing struggle. As they say, a luta continua, the struggle continues. The struggle is taking place in the trenches of everyday life, where there is no time to pause and look back. This is what makes the struggle the struggle. Our obligation is to understand these historical conditions under which the struggle is being executed. Our main challenge is to fully grasp the Hegelian dialectics. Progress stems from the struggle itself. The mathematician and philosopher Alfred North Whitehead understood this, though in his own ways, when he observed that, and I quote, "The art of progress is to preserve order amid change, and to preserve change amid order," close quote. As life hurtles along, so should we effect change, working to the rhythm of objective conditions in which we find ourselves. Honorable members, as I conclude, I wish to take this opportunity to thank my political party, the African National Congress, for the confidence it has shown in me by deploying me in Parliament to serve the interests of our people. I miss a page here. I was going to, yes. And I also want to thank all members of the NCOP from all political parties, as we say in biblical language, that this House is made up of all the political parties here present. And you being so many political parties constitute but one House. And I thank you for your attention.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Ngivumelene ke nami ngiphefumule. Sisakhula singabantwana abancane abesanyana nabenrazinyana sasithelelwa ibisi esikotlelweni kufakwe umratha phakathi sibhice sonke sidle sonke esikotlelweni sinye odla starach nguye wayelambako abakhona ukudla msinya babesutha baqedela abanye manje ke namhlanje nami ngithanda ukuthi endaweni yabaphathi bendlule nalabo abangakatholi ithuba lokuba bakhulume ngithi ke esandleni sikamongameli ngithabe khulu ehlizweni nami namhlanje ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi sikuthokozise njengamalungu walendlu. Ngivumelana nabo bonke asele bakhulumileko bonyana ubuholi bakho ubukhombise ngokungararekiko ungarareki uqale phambili ngamehlo avulekileko nangengqondo evulekileko. Usithethe sonke njengoba sinje njengekukhu yesikhukhukazi wasembesa ngamaphiko akho nayembesa amadzinyani wayo. Ikukhu nayidlako ithi ngadobha ifake nemlonyeni wedzinyani layo ikhumbule wona nalokufuneka lidle uzidlise sonke ukuhlakanipha kwakho sekela likaMongameli wasikhombisa sonke indlela eqotho nevuthiweko kufuneka sikhambe ngayo. Kwakubuhlungu ngathi ngiyabona lesikhathi uhleli ejele abanye bahleze emakhaya kumnandi baphumulile bahlezi nezihlobo zabo nabantwana babo. Wena utlhaga ungadli ungalali. Kodwa ke umphumela walokho ube mnandi kuma South Africa nelizwe lonke esiphila kilo. Ngokuzinikela kwakho khange ube lichacha nakuyiwe evadleni kuyokubethwana wazikhombisa ukuthi nawe uyindoda emadodeni. Isibhuku uyakwazi usiphatha neswazi uyalazi ukuliphatha nokubethana ungakhona ukubethana. Imphumela yakho siyayibona. Angitsho ngithi baba ungubaba wethu sonke, siyakuhlonipha, siyakuthanda. Namhlazana sihlangana nawe ngelinye ilanga asisukuqala ngelihlo linye, siza kuqala ngamehlo amabili, sihlale sikuhlonipha njalo, sikuthanda njalo. Awukapheli umsebenzi ephini likamongameli, usesemnengi umsebenzi wakho. Khona ilanga mhlawumbe la uzawuphumula khona, sisakhamba emhlabeni ukuphumula kukho. Abaholi bahlala bangabaholi. Ngisho sewuthi wena ufuna ukuphumula, sizazokuthatha ngekhaya sithi nakumbereko ungabuyele emuva. Magama ami engithanda ukukuvalelisa ngawo namhlanje ngithi siyathokoza baba, wenze umbereko omuhle nobalulekileko. Ngiyathokoza. Honorable members, before we move to the other orders of the day, allow me to make this statement. I wish to bring the following information to your attention. There have been occasions where delegates have questioned the suspension of Rule 2391 of the rules, ordinarily referred as the 3-day rule. The Council normally suspends this rule if it seeks to pass a bill before expiry of 3 days after the report of committee has been published on the ATC. The suspension sought is ordinarily narrowly tailored to achieve the objective for which the rule is to be suspended, to enable the House to consider business before it. In most instances, the objection is directed at whether a bill is in respect of which the suspension is sought falls within the reach of the exceptions provided for under Rule 2391 A and B. For the sake of convenience, Rule 239 provides that the Council may not pass a bill at least 3 working days since the committee's report was tabled unless it is a fast-tracked bill in terms of Joint Rule 216 of the Joint Rules of B and Agent Bill. In general, honorable members, in general terms, the rule prohibits the Council from passing a bill at least 3 working days. Since the committee report was tabled, there is no doubt about the validity of the purpose that the rule seeks to achieve. But all rules, if strictly adhered to, may frustrate the business of the House. Having foreseen this possibility, the drafters of rules designed Rule 3. Rule 3. Rule 3 of the rules authorize the Council by resolution to dispense with or suspend a provision of these rules for a particular purpose and for a specific period. Rule 3 is therefore currently tailored to ensure that there is a rational connection between the suspension and the objectives that the suspension seeks to achieve. I would add, for the sake of completeness, that the Council rules may not be suspended to achieve an unconstitutional objective or to subvert the lawmaking or other processes. The suspension itself must pass the test of legality. That is why Rule 3 demands that the suspension must be for a specific or, close quote. In general, I must emphasize, honorable delegates, that the rules are there to ensure the smooth running of the proceedings of the House and not to impede them. Technically and directory objective may result into paralysis of the House. I thank you. Thank you very much. Order. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Consideration of Report of Select Committee on Finance, 2014 Fiscal Framework and Revenue Proposals.
I now call upon the Honorable T.L. Makunyane. No, Charles de Bier, I'm sorry.
Honourable Chairperson, members and Honourable Deputy Minister, the Minister of Finance tabled the 2014 National Budget in the National Assembly on the 26th of February 2014 in line with Section 27 of the PFMA. After tabling of the budget on the 26th of February and the engagement with the Minister on the 27th, the Finance Committees, Select Committee for Finance and Standing Committee for Finance, held public hearings on the 4th of March 2014. Submissions were received from the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, Federation of Union of South Africa, FEDUSA, South African Institute of Tax Practitioners, South African Institute for Chartered Accountants, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the Manufacturing Circle, Business Unity South Africa, the Financial and Fiscal Commission, Budget and Expenditure Management Forum, Ernst & Young Advisory Services, Matope Investment Managers, and PPC Manufacturers. The report ATC summarized the economic outlook, fiscal framework, revenue trends, and tax proposals, government debt financing, and the key issues emerging from public hearings with the above-mentioned stakeholders. Honourable Chairperson, during the third week in January 2014, the Minister of Finance led a team to Davos in Switzerland, representing South Africa, the World Economic Forum, participating in the battle of ideas. The Minister put South Africa's case in a prudent way and with confidence saying, and I quote, "As we look to the next 20 years, we today can say proudly that we have a national development plan, a plan that is to develop an even stronger social compact that will reduce poverty and inequality." Close quote. South Africa, the SA team did a good selling job, Honourable Chairperson. ANC resolved at its 53rd National Conference that it must, with the emphasis on must, take the lead in mobilizing and uniting all South Africans around a common vision of economic transformation that puts South Africa first. South Africa eerste. The NDP should be used as a common basis for this mobilization. Chairperson, the budget is a practical action to allocate money from the fiscus to the action plan of the NDP. Page 4 of the budget review gives the layout of the NDP critical action and medium-term initiatives. Chairperson, our constitutional order established in 1994 has proven to be a valid foundation on which to make progress. The Constitution requires of us to act in a certain way. We must care for our people, everyone. The fiscal framework and the revenue proposals since 1994 did that, and the RDP formed the basis of that departure in 1994. 20 years of transformation in our economy needs some, you must look at it. Despite the significant development challenges that we continue to face, South Africa today is a wealthier society than it was in 1994, with greater access to economic opportunities. GDP expanded by 83% in 1994. Macroeconomic stability anchored in prudent financial management, counter-cyclical fiscal policy, inflation targeting, and the flexible exchange rate has translated into a declining interest rate, stable inflation, improving government finances, high investments in exports, and a rising GDP per person. Inflation, which averaged 14% in the decade prior to 1994, fell to an average of 5.5% between 2003 and 2013. South Africa has become integrated into the world economy since 1994. Prior to 1990, the fruit of the farmers were lying in the harbor of Cape Town and shipped out to the deep sea because it started to rot. We could do nothing with it. Today, you export over the global sphere. That is progress. Our robust monetary policy framework has proved to be capable of absorbing external shocks. If you look at the global outlook, the IMF projects global economic growth will increase from 3.7% in 2014 to 3.9% in 2015. Economic activity in advanced economies has strengthened. The outlook for emerging markets remains positive, with projected economic growth of 5.1% in 2014. The recovery in advanced economies will translate into moderate higher demand for South African exports. If we look at our domestic outlook, South Africa's improved medium-term growth prospects are tied to an improving global outlook and strong economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa. Real GDP is projected to grow at 1.8% in 2013 and 2.7% in 2014, reaching 3.5% by 2016. The outlook is subjected to risks, including delays to additional electricity supply and capacity, labor disputes, and more pronounced inflationary pressures associated with the depreciation of the rand. Honourable Chairperson, South Africa's economy has grown since 1994 as a result of fiscal policy. And let's go on this journey. In 1994, our tax revenue was 114 billion rand. In 2015, it will exceed 1 trillion. That is growth. This is nearly a 10-fold increase. Expenditure increased from 137 billion in 1994 and will reach 1.25 trillion in 2014-15. The average income of South Africans, which declined by 15% in the last decade of apartheid rule, has increased by over 30% in 1994. On average, the economy grew at 3.2% since 1994 and steered its way through the global recession, growing on a lower rate. This is remarkable if you look what happened in the rest of the world. Chairperson, we can report here today, no province is in overdraft. No provincial treasury is in overdraft. Allocations to provinces increased from 75.499 billion rand in 1994 to 444.423 billion rand in 2014-15. This is the equitable share in conditional grants. The economy, Chairperson, has created 5.9 million jobs since 1996. 15.2 million people are employed, the highest since 1994, although the unemployment rate is still too high. The social assistance program now reaches about 16 million people. Social spending has risen from 75 billion in 2008-29 to 118 billion in 2014. 8.8 million learners have access to free education. The doors of learning shall be open. This year, grant recipients will have an increase. 370 new schools were built, replacing mud schools. Teacher training colleges will be open to meet the demand. The grade R enrollment increased from 300,000 to more than 779,000 in 2014. In 2007, 5 million learners had access to free education. In 2014, it's 8.8 million. And we feed 8.7 million learners on the feeding scheme. Over the past 5 years, 300 new health facilities have been built, including 160 new clinics and several new hospitals. The target is also that at least 6 million people must enroll in the antiretroviral program. 3 million housing units and more than 850,000 service sites were delivered since 1994. 70 billion rand was spent on the human settlements program since 2009, and 590,000 houses were built. And so we can go on, Chairperson. Investment incentives provided by the DTI has stimulated 143 billion rand in private investments and created 144,000 jobs in the past 5 years. Why? The South African's public finances are sound and well managed, and our budgeting processes are recognized internationally for its transparency. Spending on infrastructure amounted to 1 trillion rand over the past 5 years and will be 847 billion over the next 3 years. Chairperson, the introduction of the youth employment incentive, which in its 4th month recorded 56,000 beneficiaries, is also part of the good story. Yes, our economy has grown as a result of sound fiscal policies. The microeconomic framework has proven resilient and adaptable. Prudent and transparent fiscal management, inflation targeting, and a flexible exchange rate is in the context of open capital markets and enabled the economy to continue growing moderately since the 2009 recession and absorb the shocks. Chairperson, the fiscal framework is grounded in a sustainable counter-cyclical approach to manage revenue and expenditure. I'm going to turn to the revenue and tax proposals. Personal income tax, value-added tax, and corporate income tax provides the basis for the tax system. We commend SARS for building a progressive and a fair tax system. Tax proposals include income tax relief of 9.3 billion rand, steps to encourage enterprise development and household savings, measures to address asset mine drainage, and design adjustment to the proposed carbon tax. Revenue for the 2014-15 financial year is projected at 1.099 trillion rand and increasing to 2016-17 to 1.327 trillion rand. The budget balance deficit is declining over the MTF period. Honourable Chairperson, there are 16 recommendations that we are tabling in the report to the Minister of Finance, Deputy Minister, and the National Treasury, and I'll refer to a few. The Select Committee on Finance recommends as follows: that the National Treasury should quarterly brief Parliament on the employment tax incentives and monitor the implementation of this incentive to identify any unintended consequences. The National Treasury should share with Parliament some achievement of these incentives as well as detailed progress made into the incentive. The Minister of Finance, together with other relevant government departments, should prioritise implementation, monitoring and evaluation of programs that target job creation. The Minister of Finance should report on the reduction in core spending plans, including financing new policy initiatives from the savings, efficient gains and reprioritization over the next 3 years, analysis of personal spending and the phasing out of projects that are ineffective or no longer aligned with policy priorities. This report should be submitted within 90 days of the adoption of this report. Also to report on the government's need to continue its strong focus on rooting out corruption, improving the efficiency and effectiveness of public spending and enhancing accountability to public officials with respect to performance. Treasury also to encourage other government departments to assess the relevance of programs in terms of their efficiency and effectiveness in achieving intended policy objectives, and also consider continuation of some and introduce new programs. The committee supports the implementation of the cost containment measures and recommends that these measures are enforced in provinces and municipalities to encourage other innovative means to contain expenditure synchronized with improved service delivery. National Treasury should ensure that these measures are enforced and report to Parliament. Chairperson, also that the Treasury should provide Parliament with analysis of infrastructure spending as a percentage of GDP over the medium term and where possible for years beyond the MTF. Also to provide Parliament with an update on timeframes for the final implementation of the special economic zones, including all tax incentives that have been announced for these zones. Excuse me. And also that the Minister should ensure that the National Treasury and SARS are adequately resourced and should report to the House on the vacancies and measures available to fill critical positions, specifically in...
Order, Honorable Tipier. Mr. Munsese.
We are agreed with the report. Thank you, Chairperson. We are agreed.
Oh. Continue, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honourable Monsisi, for that confirmation, as you supported also the report in the committee meeting. Honourable Chairperson, in conclusion, SARS should also ensure that the 2014 Taxation Law Amendment Bill makes provision for an increase in tax deductible for employees from the announced 350,000 annual ceiling as contained in the 2013 Taxation Laws Amendment Bill. Chairperson, we still have an immense set of tasks and challenges facing us. We cannot just muddle through the next decade. We've got a responsibility and a legacy to leave behind. Step by step, we can make a difference in the lives of all South Africans. Chairperson, I move that the House adopts this report. I thank you.
Well, honorable members, order. I recognize the presence of the Minister and the Deputy Minister of Finance in the House. Your presence shows commitment to your work. We really appreciate that, and to come and listen what this House says in the debate of the fiscal framework. Thank you very much for your presence in the House. Honorable members, that concludes the debate. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make their declaration of votes if they so wish. Any province that wish to do so? None. We proceed to the voting, and heads of delegation will press the button in favor, against, or abstain. Voting has commenced. Ayisebenza imshini yenu? Okay, let's go manual quickly. Eastern Cape? In favor, Free State? In favor, Gauteng?
In favor?
In favor, KwaZulu-Natal?
KwaZulu-Natal iyayisupporta cha.
Support, Limpopo?
Ukotenda.
Ikotenda, Mpumalanga? Yayisekela, Northwest? Northern Cape?
Radumalana cha.
Radumelana, Northwest?
In favor.
In favor, Western Cape?
In favor, Chair.
In favor, honorable members, all 9 provinces voted in favor of the bill. I therefore declare the bill agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. The Secretary will read the second order of the day.
Consideration of Marine Living Resources Amendment Bill, B30B 2013, and of report of Select Committee on Land and Environmental Affairs thereon.
Honorable T.L. Makunyane.
Honorable Chair, honorable members. Greetings to the chairperson of the NCOP, the chief whip, the honorable members of this distinguished house. This afternoon, I'm given the opportunity to share with you some of the deliberations of the Select Committee on Land and Environmental Affairs had on the Marine Living Resources Amendment Bill that was introduced by the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries to Parliament. The main purpose of the bill is to manage the decreasing fishery resources equitably, to provide a legal framework for the implementation of the policy on small-scale fisheries sector in South Africa, to transform the inequalities of the past fisheries allocation system and measures it introduced. Small-scale fishing is not recognized in the current Marine Living Resources Act that regulates access to and the consumptive use of marine living resources. The allocation of commercial fishing rights negatively impacted on the traditional fishing communities and their lifestyles, as a large percentage of these fishing communities did not receive any allocations in the past. The small-scale fishing communities are faced with high levels of poverty, unemployment, and food insecurity. The Marine Living Resources Amendment Bill will thus give recognition to and enable the allocation of fishing rights to identified fishing communities who have previously been excluded from the fishing rights allocation process in South Africa. The bill was referred to the committee on the 7th November 2013, and the Department of Agriculture Forestry briefed the committee on 20th November 2014. Comrades, the process that the Select Committee on Land and Environment Affairs followed for processing this Section 76 legislation included referring the bill to the provinces for public hearings and then receiving the negotiating mandate and final mandates, and successfully concluded the deliberations on the bill. The Select Committee on Land and Environment Affairs, having deliberated on and considered the subject of the Marine Living Resources Amendment Bill, B30B 2013, National referred to it and classified by the JTM as a Section 76 bill, agreed to the bill. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. That concludes the business. I shall now put the question, and the question is that the bill be agreed to. According to Rule 7.1, I shall first allow provinces an opportunity to make their declaration of votes if they so wish. Any province that wish to do so? No, we proceed to the voting. Voting is commenced. Should you do it manual? Is it on? Okay. Voting has commenced. Time for you to correct your voting if you voted wrongly. Time to indicate if your machine is not working. KZN, are you voting in favor or abstain? Microphone, please. KZN support. Any other person who's got a problem? Voting is closed. I'll ask for the results. Northwest, electronically you have not indicated. How are you voting? Is it there? Okay, now it indicates. All 9 provinces have voted in favor. I therefore declare the bill agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Secretary will read the third order of the day.
Consideration of National Water Amendment Bill, B3 of 2014, and of report of Select Committee on Land and Environmental Affairs thereon.
I've given 2 names here. I don't know whether it's Honorable Makadla or Mkhoro who's going to speak. Who's speaking between the 2 of you? Tata ukhulume nangabe uyakhuluma sis.
I have two. Take the statement. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Deputy Chairperson of the NSOP, Chief Whip of the NSOP, and honorable members as well as distinguished guests. This afternoon, I'm given the opportunity to share with you some of the deliberations that the Select Committee on Land and Environmental Affairs had on the National Water Amendment Bill, B3/2014, that was introduced by the Minister of Water and Environmental Affairs to Parliament. The main purpose of the bill is to make specific amendments to Sections 41 of the National Water Act, which deals with water use license applications, to enable an integrated licensing system which aligns the timeframes for internal appeals to Minister of Water and Environmental Affairs, and to enable the Minister to be the appeal authority in certain circumstances for internal appeals for water use licenses emanating from applications for rights, licenses, or permits for prospecting, mining, exploration, or operations in terms of the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act 2002. These amendments are necessary for the synchronization and alignment of processes and timeframes from the respective regulatory frameworks between the DMR, DEA, and DWA, which became very clearly necessary during the legislative process for the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act 2002 and the National Environmental Management Law's Third Amendment Bill. During these discussions, the one environmental system specifically for mining was introduced, and an integrated licensing system for all regulatory requirements was agreed to. The bill seeks to amend the National Water Act 1998 so as to make provisions for the correct designation of the department and minister, to correct outdated references, to enable an alignment and synchronization of the process for consideration of water use licenses with the licensing processes under the National Environmental Management Act 1998, the Specific Environmental Management Act, and the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act 2002, provide for the appointment of the minister as the responsible authority for internal appeals in certain circumstances, to amend the authority of the Water Tribunal as appeal authority in certain circumstances where an appeal will now be dealt with by the minister, and provide for matters connected therewith. The bill was referred to the committee on the 27th of January 2014, and the Department of Water and Environmental Affairs briefed the committee on the 4th of March 2014. The Select Committee on Land and Environmental Affairs, having deliberated on and considered the subject of the National Water Amendment Bill, B3/2014, National Assembly, Section 75, referred to it and classified by the JTM as a Section 75 bill, agrees to the bill without amendments. I thank you, Chairperson.
That concludes the debate. I shall now put a question. The question is that the bill be agreed to. In terms of Rule 6.3, I shall first allow political parties to make their declaration of votes if they so wish. Is there any party that wish to do so? No, we'll then proceed to the voting. Remember that you are all voting is a Section 75 bill. The voting will commence. All of you are voting. Honorable Mabi, The voting has commenced. Hlala kahle sis. Kuse parliament lapha. Uvote. Everybody voted? It's your chance to correct your vote if you have voted wrongly. Voting closed. I'll get the results. All 38 members in the House voted in favor. I therefore declare the bill agreed to in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution. The Secretary will read the fourth order of the day.
Consideration of National Environmental Management, Integrated Coastal Management Amendment Bill, B8D 2013, and of report of Select Committee on Land and Environmental Affairs thereof.
I now call upon the Honorable Qikane.
Chairperson, the National Environmental Management Integrated Coastal Management Amendment Bill 2013 seeks to amend the National Environmental Integrated Coastal Management Act 2008, Act number 24 of 2008. The Act is a specific environmental management act within the framework of the National Environmental Management Act 1998. The Act was promulgated in 2008 and came into operation on the 1st December 2009. Most of the amendments were identified through implementations of the Act, and some originated through consultations with other organs of the state. The main trump of this Act was the creation of coastal public property, which gives special status to South Africa territorial waters up to the high water mark, beaches, the sea, and the seabed, including the admiralty reserved. In other words, everything that occurs below the seaward of the high water mark is part of coastal public property belonging to the people of this beautiful country. Ownership of these natural assets is vested in the citizens and held in trust by the state. Due to its dynamic nature, it is critical to manage coastal public property to ensure long-term sustainability and the protection of people and their properties against the natural elements. As part of the management regime, coastal public property cannot be sold, leased, or restrict access. It is essential to prohibit sale of these natural assets. The main purpose of the bill is to ensure the coastal public property does not impact on the ownership of assets and operation of other organs of state. Expand the provision on reclamation, simplify the administration of coastal access fee approvals, extend the powers of the MEC to issue coastal protection notices and coastal access notices, simplify and amend powers relating to coastal leases, including transitional arrangement, simplify the provisions relating to National Coastal Committee, expand the powers of delegation by MECs, expand categories of activities requiring dumping permits, provide for exemption, revise offences and increase penalties, and make corrections. Chair, the bill was referred to the committee on the 5th of November 2013. The process that Select Committee on Land and Environmental Affairs followed for processing this Section 76 legislation includes referring the bill to the provinces for public hearing and then receiving the negotiating mandates and final mandates and successfully concluded the deliberations on the bill. The Select Committee on Land and Environmental Affairs, having deliberated on and considered the subject of the National Environmental Management Integrated Coastal Management Amendment Bill, B8B 2013, National Assembly, Section 76, referred to it and classified by JTM as a Section 76 bill, reports that it has agreed to amend Bill B8D 2013. Thank you, sir.
Honorable members, that concludes the debate. I shall now put the question, and the question is that the bill be agreed to. According to Rule 7.1, I shall allow provinces an opportunity to make their declaration of votes if they so wish. Any province that wish to do so? No, we'll proceed to the voting. Voting will commence. Only heads of delegates this time, eh? Ayisebenzi Eastern Cape. In favor, Free State. In favor, Gauteng.
In favor.
In favor, KwaZulu-Natal.
KZN yavumelana nayo, Chair.
In favor, Limpopo. Yaseketela. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear very well. KZN, can you repeat that?
Sivumelana nayo, Chair.
Nivumelana nayo. Okay. Honorable Mpumalanga.
Right, Secretary.
Secretary. Northern Cape. Nilumelana Leona, Northwest. In favor, Western Cape.
Favor, Chairperson.
In favor. Okay, there's a little correction I have to make here. Honorable Nzimande, I've got a final mandate here from your legislature that says KwaZulu-Natal legislature met today, Friday, 21st of February 2014, and agreed to mandate the KwaZulu-Natal delegation to the National Council of Provinces to abstain from voting for the National Environmental Management Integrated Coastal Management Amendment Bill. Is it the correct one? Yeah, that's the correct one. So in other words, KwaZulu-Natal is abstaining on that vote. Honorable members, therefore, 8 provinces have voted in favor. KwaZulu-Natal abstain. I therefore declare the bill agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. I have been informed that I should announce to the House that Parliament will have a cocktail farewell function tomorrow for all of the members starting at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. That concludes the business of the day. Honorable members, you are requested to remain standing until the procession has left the House. The House is adjourned.